I just wanted to clarify what you said about the participation and having everyone on Zoom. Do you mean that everyone on the roster has been taking part in the Zoom meetings since OTAs have started?
Yes, everybody's been on the Zoom meeting.
Including Deshaun Watson?
I have nothing to say about Deshaun at this point.
Poor David Culley.
I know.
Poor
gets
David
his
Culley.
chance. He's 65 years old, and he gets his chance, and now this is what he steps into. An expansion team with your best player on strike.
Who you shall not talk about, especially after he did the podcast where he made the mistake of making it clear they were willing to trade him. And then since then, I think there's some device in play here where anytime he mentions Deshaun Watson, there's a button that Nick Caserio presses to make sure David Culley recites the line, I am not talking about Deshaun Watson. But it's just this team is favored to lose every game. If you go week by week and you look at the betting lines, there isn't a single game they're favored to win. Their points bet odds for the full season win total is 4.5. I think that's charitable, and I would bet the under. It just feels like this team is listless. The bar couldn't be any lower, which is actually good for David Culley and for the players because everyone expects them to stink, Peter. But I feel bad for David Culley because he's not going to say no to an opportunity to coach an NFL team. That begs the question, is this even an NFL team at this point?
Look, this sort of reminds me of kind of a tech startup, Mike. It really does. Obviously they are starting over. The problem with starting over when you're the Houston Texans is that they don't have the advantages that they had even when they were an expansion team 2 decades ago. And because when they were an expansion team, they were able to pick other players from teams, all that. And now they basically, their advantage is not having a draft pick, until the second round and, or late, whenever they had it in the 60s. And that to me is the major reason why they are at such a huge disadvantage right now. They have none of the edges that even an expansion team would have. So if 4.5 is that number, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? That's surprisingly high in my opinion.
And this is the kind of organization right now that from a PR standpoint should be bending over backwards to ingratiate itself to the folks who cover the team. You want those folks on your side. You want them to be rooting for this ragtag bunch of misfits who are being slapped together. But when you hire someone from the do-your-job, Patriot way, shut-your-mouth, Bill Belichick camp in Nick Caserio, that's not how it goes because he is wired, whether he realizes it or not, to provide as little information as possible to the enemy of the people, the media. So here's the great John McClain reacting yesterday to the fact that the media got to go to an OTA, but they weren't given the information necessary to understand who in the hell was out there on the field getting ready for football season. Let's hear directly from John McClain.
Let me tell you, it was so invigorating to watch a bunch of defensive players that we couldn't tell who's who. And the reason was they gave us rosters with no numbers. In my 45 years of covering the NFL in Houston, I've never been given a roster with no numbers. Why would they do that? Did they leave them out accidentally? No, they don't want us to know who the players are. There's 49 new players on this roster, so it'd be nice to have some numbers with the names and be able to see them, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. I've just never seen anything like this. So, and I don't know why it's not going to do me any good to have it, so that's what I think about this roster.
And that's what you get. That's what you get. Look, you never start a fight with the guy who buys his ink by the truckload. That's what you get when you piss off John McClain, one of the most respected beat writers in the country. Yeah, and it's stupid. It's gratuitous. There's no strategic reason for it. What are the reporters going to glean from an OTA session, Peter, where they're able to match up name and number? What secrets of the realm are going to be shared with the Texans' enemies? That's the least of their worries. You could list the problems and concerns they have 1 to 1,000. Coming in at 999 is the local media being able to connect the dots between player and number at an OTA session in late May.
It's one thing for Bill Belichick to slap the number 50 on Mac Jones, which he did this week at practice, because Bill Belichick has won 6 Super Bowls. He could put the number infinity on Mac Jones. He could put pi on Mac Jones.
Literally.
It doesn't matter, because he has won the right to do silly things as much as he wants to do, okay? But the Houston Texans, and what they're trying to do is they're saying, okay, here's our 49 new players. Hey, look, there's Mark Ingram over there. He's wearing number, whatever he's wearing, 28. You know, and here's this guy. Here's Davis Mills. He's wearing number 11 or whatever. Let's take a look at Davis Mills. Hey, listen, Davis Mills is probably the quarterback of the near term for this team. You know, maybe Tyrod Taylor this year, but let's look at Davis Mills, see how he looks, see how he's throwing the ball. I just think it is one of the silliest things for an organization to do. It's meaningless. It's thumb your nose at the media that covers the team. That's what it is. And I have absolutely no idea why the Texans would be doing that right now publicly to their team.
Thomas Dimitroff is the only person from the Belichick tree who has been able to step away from that mindset that gets ingrained in you by osmosis, that this is the right way to do things, that this is the right way to handle the media, give them as little information as possible, because everyone is the enemy, including the media, and it's going to make it harder for Nick Caserio to thrive in Houston. And it's just amazing to me that of all those guys, smart guys, competent guys, coaches and executives who have gone elsewhere, they still can't. They're so warped when they come out of that Patriot enclave that they can't figure out that that's not the way when you're not the guy that already has 6 Super Bowl championships, and you got to build equity with the media that covers your team.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.